Hello everybody, this is Sylvain, April 19th, 2011. Time is 8:43 a.m. New York time. This video message is addressed to the pilots of planes that conduct geoengineering exercises across the skies of many countries in the world right now. Geoengineering exercises that are approved by politicians, by government, and not by health officials. Here's my message. Number one, I have produced an online form that collects information regarding chemtrail observations around the world, and within a 2-week period I've received input from about 250 people from 26 different countries. And essentially they all say the same thing, that it is true, and people are convinced it is true, and they and their families, in some cases they and their communities. All of them say that they believe the government is aware of what is happening. So this is not something I am guessing. This is information I'm collecting from around the world, from people who even give me their email addresses, and people which I stay in contact with, and they report some other things to me. Also, I have collected from these people and others videos, photographs of chemtrail skies in different countries of the world, and in my own Canada. So, last year, in the month of June, I've asked several hundred people to email the Prime Minister of Canada to get a response, an official response about chemtrails. No response, excuse me, ever came. Here is my message to the chemtrail pilots. I am preparing a PowerPoint presentation that I wish to present to officials, personally, particularly politicians and police forces, and also the Air Force of Canada, the Air Force Defense. This presentation will have only 10 slides, and on one of these slides I need a testimonial, perhaps several, of chemtrail pilots themselves, saying that yes, this is indeed happening. I will let the chemtrail pilots describe the details themselves. Now, this is a critical slide in this overall presentation, and it'll be the second slide of the 10. I am hoping and I'm praying that some chemtrail pilots, one of you, will come out somehow and try to reach me or us who are trying to find the truth about this, because we believe it is harmful, whatever the purpose may be and whatever the cost may be by us. We are convinced that this is happening, and we are also concerned that this may be toxic to the environment, toxic to our property, toxic to ourselves to some degree, perhaps not immediately, but in the long term. I'm asking you to come forward, to unplug yourself, if you can somehow, to reveal some information to us. I know it requires courage, and I am researching, along with other people, whistleblower legislation that exists in certain countries that you will be able to use to protect yourself. So if you yourself are a pilot, or you know of a pilot, or your father is a pilot, or your spouse is a pilot, or your uncle is a pilot, or your aunt is a pilot, please communicate with me. I will keep all this information confidential until we find some means for you to express yourself in your particular country or city without penalty. Now, in my view, this will require heroic faith that you're doing the right thing. So I hope that you, several of you, will respond to me. So this is Sylvain Henry, Canadian Spartacus. I am located near Ottawa, the capital city of Canada. And but even if you come from another country, I would like to somehow get news of you. And so I want to do all this safely, without any protestation, I just want to talk to officials directly, meet with them in the first week of May here in Canada. Any cooperation is appreciated. Thank you very much.
According to the EPA, less than 35% of U.S. households recycle. Earth Day, nationally recognized on April 22nd, is a day to remind people of their commitment to environmental protection and community engagement. Navy commands around the globe are participating in Earth Day events, from beach cleanups to planting trees and recycling drives. However, this 1 month of action will not change the direction that the planet is currently going in. A sustainable future begins with you. The ripple effect of each individual's actions can benefit the environment and help ensure a viable planet for generations to come. Increasing recycling is one of the greatest opportunities for our environment, our natural resources, and our economy. Our actions impact the environment. Each thing we do can help or hurt our planet in many ways. Do your part. Begin by visiting greenfleet.dod live today.
The World Health Organization now says there's a possibility, a potential risk. Radiation from cell phones could cause cancer.
Turns out participants in the study who used a cell phone for 10 years or more had doubled the rate of brain glioma, a type of tumor. And keep in mind, cell phone use in the United States has only been popular for around 15 years.
After several minutes, that it really starts causing DNA problems. It even heats the brain.
What microwave radiation does, in the most simplistic term, is very similar to what happens to your food. When you put your food in a microwave oven, it's essentially cooking the brain.
If you've ever put a cell phone to your ear, you should listen to what neurosurgeon Dr. Keith Black has to say.
There's no way to say that cell phone use is safe. I think that the public has a right to know that there could be a potential risk. Environmental factors take decades to see their effect, not a few years.
So if it may take decades to get a clearer answer, what can we say about cell phone safety now?
All right, now tonight's top story, your lifeline to the world is being linked to cancer.
This is the story that we have been talking about all day. Should we really be concerned about using our cell phones? Stephanie, what do you have to say?
Well, Cherie, Jack, we've all wondered if our cell phones are passing radiation through our bodies. And tonight, the doctors we talked to confirm there's enough evidence.
This is well recognized now as a possible risk to cancer. So the most vulnerable age group are going to be children, and more kids are using these cell phones.
Tu showed us his computer model, which shows us how much radio frequency children can absorb. It's enough for Tu to realize consumers should be alerted and aware.
In children, their skull is thinner, their scalp is thinner, so the microwave radiation can penetrate deeper into the brain of children and young adults. And their cells are dividing at a much faster rate, so the impact of the microwave radiation can be much larger.
And here's something else that might surprise you. The cell manufacturers themselves actually advise against putting the cell phone right next to your head or really anywhere in your body. Dr. Keith Black has been talking about this longer than many, but the voices joining him are becoming louder and more prominent. The city of San Francisco pushed for radiation warning labels on cell phones. The head of a prominent cancer research institute sent a memo to all employees urging them to limit cell phone use because of possible risk of cancer. And the European Environmental Agency has pushed for more studies, saying cell phones could be as big a public health risk as smoking, asbestos, and leaded gasoline.
More than 2/3 of Americans have cell phones, but there's one been a question: does heavy cell phone use hurt human health? Lindsay Davis reports on a major new study which for the first time shows cell phones do seem to have some mysterious effect on the brain.
Some are calling the study a landmark event in our understanding of how cell phones affect the human body. 47 participants had cell phones placed on their left and right ears. One cell phone was activated but muted, the other was turned off. After 50 minutes, the researchers took PET scans of the subjects. Look at what they found. The image on the left shows what happened when the cell phone was turned on. The most active areas are in red. Notice the upper right part of the brain. That's the area closest to the antenna. Compare that with this image on the right of the same subject when they had their cell phones turned off.
A committee composed of scientists from 14 different countries working for the World Health Organization concluded that exposure to cell phone radiation is a possible carcinogen because what the cell phones do is emit a radio frequency magnetic field which interacts with your own biological signaling system to cause this increase. And this expert World Health Scientific Committee found that there was a 40% increased risk of cancer.
It's interesting because you look at all the studies out there and most people will say, look, I mean, they're fine. A lot of scientists will say that. But, you know, I've read all these studies, Larry. I mean, I've spent the last year sort of really reading this, and there's 16 really good studies out there, a few since 2000. Most of them, if you really dissect it down, they really only follow the patients along for just a few years. And, you know, people use their cell phones for years and years, and kids start using them. They're going to use them their whole lifetime. Also, some of the studies say regular cell phone use is using it one time a week for 6 months. I mean, who uses a cell phone that little nowadays? So my point is this, that, you know, if you read the studies alone, they'll say they're safe. But if you start to say, well, look, wait a second, how about if it's 10 years? How about it's 20, 30, 40 years?
We don't know yet.
We don't know. And if you use your phone all the time, like you know, people in the news business, they have a cell phone to the ear all the time. Is that really safe?
nie stali za Kanada. Zastąpi baciu cigaretę na zemlju, sta akabija, selkapilia. O just teraz kapielti majka sinjatka, pokapito, stoptabilo.
Keep your butts off the ground and out of our waterways. Use an ashtray. Stormwater pollution prevention might not be a big deal to you, but it is to the rest of us. Think blue, San Diego.